Hello, my name's Ruben. So I grew up in a loving family. Mum and dad, plenty of love, always lots of love. We didn't have a lot of money, but I always knew that I was loved. But from a very early age, I felt frightened. I was frightened of everything, and I believe that to be alcoholism, really, or addiction, or it's all much of the same sort of thing. My mum always used to describe a perfect alcoholic. She said he's very sensitive, he doesn't mix very well, and the world doesn't revolve around you, boy. That sums it up, really. But yeah, I just went through life. I mean, I always felt like I didn't really belong. That was the thing. I didn't belong. I didn't really. I used to look through the window of my house, my family, and my two sisters, and just didn't think. I didn't feel part of it. And always really frightened. But I wouldn't be able to admit that to anyone. I used to have terrible nightmares, but I've talked to my dad about this, and he said, actually, when I was born, it was a shock. I was all warm in the womb, and then I was projected into life, and I couldn't stand it. Even when I asked my dad when I was born, and he said in the hospital that I was, I literally just wanted to get back in, and it was all, I didn't want to be born. Strange, peculiar. Anyway, yeah. So I got through school. I think I took my. I was alright at school. I always had to be. I was always the joker, though. I always liked to have a laugh. I think I took my first drink when I was about 14 with a friend of mine. It was a whole bottle of whiskey. We never, you can imagine how that went. But it always made me really, really ill, and I always said I'd never do it again, and the next week it would happen again. But I didn't think too much I didn't think, oh, this is brilliant, this has solved my problems or anything like that. It just kind of, I just thought that's what everyone did. And most teenagers do drink quite a bit, I think, but of course I had dreams and I had hopes and I had things that I wanted in my heart, but I forgot about those. They went because I thought I had to be like everyone else to, do a job I didn't like, do what everyone do what people, I thought I had to toe the line and be like everyone else, but actually it turns out that I didn't. But yeah, so I took a job. I actually went to college because I love motorbikes, and it's kind of, to be absolutely honest, I I kind of did a bit like fixing them, but I liked riding them more. I love the adrenaline. I love that sort of thing. But my dad was kind of into that sort of stuff, fixing them, and it was what I wanted to do. So I went to college and I did that, but I didn't have the courage to go and work for anyone else. So I worked for myself doing that. But I also I worked as a plumber as well. And you know, I was into bodybuilding as well. This might sound a bit hickledy-pickledy, but it comes out how it does. I can't plan any of this. And the guy I worked with doing the plumbing, he was into bodybuilding. We were all... So probably at that point I wasn't drinking. I was taking a lot of drugs though. But I was scared of drugs. But if I had a can of beer, then I wasn't scared of taking the drugs. I was taking a lot of drugs for bodybuilding and other drugs. I was doing everything really. And I was sort of obsessed. Well, I wasn't sort of. Looking back, I was obsessed with the gym and becoming a monster, really. Physical monster. And I, you know, those sort of drugs really did change my personality, especially with drink and as well. But that was, I think I was about 18 when I first took the steroids. I can remember just feeling like invincible and this is it. But I didn't realise, I thought my whole life was what I looked like. Not what, in fact my life is how I feel. Not what I look like. I had it all back to front. Yeah, so that kind of went on. I worked for this guy. He was on a lot of steroids as well. It was a crazy world. I used to go to bodybuilding shows. Everyone was really angry because they were all on steroids. That kind of... Then I got offered another job which was the same kind of thing. It was still pipe fitting. But I worked with a lot of older guys, but you know, looking back on it, that every night, it was kind of part of the job. They go to the pub and drink 8 pints of beer. And I was with these guys and thinking... And I was, you know, it was no life. It was ridiculous. But that's what I thought that we did. We go to work hard and drink all night. You know, there was fun times. But they soon become dark quite quickly. Yeah, so that ran its course. You know, it's the usual really, you know, relationships, yeah, everything broke down. I smashed things up. I was in a bad place and I didn't care about anyone else. In fact, I wanted people to feel a bit of my pain, so if I could give them some pain, that was pretty good, I thought. Totally selfish, sick state of mind I was in. But yeah, I had tried to stop drinking and taking drugs, and you know, I'd always sort of changed. You know, I'd have brief periods, but then I'd be in the gym, or I'd be just smoking weed, or I'd just be there was always something. Yeah, and I ended up, what happened, I had a bad car accident. This was when I was working away. And for a change, I wasn't drunk driving. And I got diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. And saw many psychiatrists and doctors, and they said, you know, this is why you're drinking like this. This is why you are. And I thought, right, okay. So I went with that one. I got admitted to a mental hospital. And I got treatment and therapy, and I couldn't stop drinking though. I couldn't. Every time my friends took me there, I'd drink all the way there, take cocaine all the way there, and then sneak drinking. And anyway, they introduced me to a fellowship of men and women who've got clean and sober. And I went to these meetings, but it wasn't for me. So I nearly got thrown out of the rehab because I kept getting out and drinking. I think I spent about 10 weeks in there. And I remember when it was time to come out of there, I stood on the doorstep, and one of the therapists said, "You'll be okay if you go to your fellowship. If you go there, you'll be okay." And this massive it was just like it was a realization. It was that I was in serious trouble, and I knew it. And I didn't see how this place could help. So anyway, so I came out of there, and then I went to a few meetings. I'd always sit in the car and have a big joint, and then I'd go and sit with the people in the meetings, and I just couldn't stand it. I'd turn up late. I'd run away at the end. I was allergic to people. I couldn't stand it. One guy, I remember him, he's still about now, and he said to me, "You never need to take a drink again." In my mind, I said, "No, mate, I need one now, mate. I need one now." And so I kept drinking, and I kept taking drugs. I nearly killed myself. But what I did get, I got some numbers of these lovely people. I didn't think they were that lovely at the time, but it turns out that they saved my life in the end. So I'd done the rehab, I'd done the drink sense, I'd done the psychiatrist, I'd done everything humanly possible to stop. And just this one day, I mean, it become, I was dreadfully lonely on my own. in a little house. So I didn't even want to be in a house. I wanted to live in a caravan, really. I didn't really think like I deserved to be in a house, but I was, fortunately. I just broke down. Well, call it what you want. Was it a mental break? I don't know what it was. It was... I'd been beaten. And I admitted it for a brief second. And I asked God to help me. That's what I did. To not have a drink for that day. And he helped me. He gave me the strength to do it. For just a day. That's all it ever is. It's only one day. And I did what I needed to do. I had the courage to phone the people and ask for help. And they were there. They came to get me. And they took me to a meeting. They told me I was going to be alright. And those people were not... One of them is back on the drink. One of them's dead. And one of them is still sober in my fellowship. So when I say I'm grateful to be alive, I really mean that. From the bottom of my heart. I shouldn't be alive. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, so I don't know what happened in that meeting. I didn't really care what they said. I just sat there. Well, actually, I sat there for about a minute. And I couldn't sit still. I was sick. I had to go in and out and being sick. But a kind man got me a glass of water and he said it's alright. He's still around. And I just literally forgot about everything else and just did that every day. I asked for help every morning. For God help me stay clean and away from drink and drugs today. And I went to a meeting every day. 1 hour out of 24. It's not a lot. And I didn't even care about anything. They said, don't worry about anything. I said, well, I've got to pay these bills, I've got to do this. They said, don't worry about it. And guess what? I thought, you know what? I'm not going to worry about this stuff. I need to stay sober. And it's the most important thing then. And it still is now. It's my life. Because without being sober, I will be dead. I have no doubt in my mind about that. yeah, so I built my faith, and that my faith on just staying away from a drink a day at a time, because I didn't believe in myself at all. I didn't believe it was possible to stay away from a drink and drugs for one day, or 10 minutes, let alone a day. But I'd get to bed, I'd get on my knees and say, thank you God for this day. And the next day, someone would turn up at my house and pick me up and take me to a meeting. I didn't understand this, but I learned to laugh, and I learned everything from these people. Yeah, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life. Well, I didn't know at all. But I had hobbies that I dreamt of when I was drunk that I wanted to do. So I started doing these things. Really great things, like I started to race motorbikes, I started to go running clubs, and these are things that all I really wanted to do, but I couldn't do any of it because the first thing I did was have a drink in the morning. And I started to realise that, you know what, if I'm sober and God has given me that grace to be sober and help me do this, He will help me do anything. And I started to believe, people started to believe in me. And I started to believe in me, and I started to think, wow, what do you really want to do? I set up a few things to do things like a normal job. It wasn't in my heart though. I got there, first day of the job, and I'd spent a lot of money building these things up, and then it wasn't in my heart, so I didn't do it. And I went home that night and I went to bed, and the next day I phoned up a friend of mine and I asked for some help in doing what I really wanted to do. And I was on my way then to be fulfilling my dreams. I had a bit of belief. And I just applied what I've learned. I never gave up. I couldn't give up with trying to get sober. And I literally would have rather died than give up on my dreams. So every day, I just did one thing towards it. I had to learn so many things. But they were all things that as a child, I looked at people doing and think, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that. So I had a lot of fun. But it weren't easy. It was hard. But I believed that I could do it. I prayed every day for help to stay sober and to fulfill my dreams. I rehearsed it in my head. What I was going to do, where I was going to be, what it was going to be like. I felt it. I believed I was doing it. I actually believed it. And I am today, I'm doing it. My dreams came true. After 4 years of training, this is my 10th year in this fellowship. And I don't say that to be a big deal or anything, because it's only ever a day. That's all it ever is. But all those days add up to a life. a life that I never would have had. And it's the dark times, I just get on my knees and pray. Go to my meetings, talk to people. And today, I'm very emotional because it's bloody emotional when you sit here and think about it all. It's my life. They say a life beyond your wildest dreams. Well, I'd definitely go for that one. I can't, I work it. When I was a little boy, I wanted to be a stuntman. Doesn't every little boy? And today I am. But that's not who I am. That's just what I do. But the most important thing is I know that I'm alcoholic, addict, all that stuff. And I know that I'm being looked after. And I know everything's alright. 100%. I know that. And all the people that I've met along the way, they've always encouraged me. I mean, before I even was given the gift of sobriety, I used to do what a lot of us probably do, geographicals here, there and everywhere, and I'd go to Thailand and I met a very dear friend there, and he would always say he's delighted to be alive, and I used to think, fucking hell, he is mad. And I know what he means today. He used to phone me up every year, sing me happy birthday. It'd bring a tear to my eye every time. So I understand now about what it is, and I've got peace in my life, peace in my heart. My mum never saw me get sober, but I believe she sees me now. And my life is a dedication really to her in many ways. My dad's still alive. I can spend time with him, which I love. I've got everything. My health. My little cat, Maximus. A girlfriend. Friends. I can... Health. I mean, health. After what I've done to my body, I've got perfect health. Another miracle. My life's full of miracles. I can walk outside, I can breathe in the air, I can look at the birds, the trees. Everything. I'm part of this. I'm only a little part of this thing, but I'm part of it today. When I was on drugs, I wasn't, and drink, and I made myself, I disconnected myself from the universal power that keeps me alive, God. Now, I'm not religious, I don't believe in all that, I just believe in goodness. Yeah. So yeah, it was an absolute nightmare. But once I got to the fellowship that I'm in, it's been nice. The pain and the agony really was the not knowing, the growing up, and the drinking, the drugging, the doing the same things and just ending up baffled with why. now it's just a beautiful life, a beautiful, beautiful life. I love it. I love being alive, and it's the complete opposite to before. I'd wake up and I would think, I'd ask God to not, please don't let me wake up tomorrow. I couldn't stand it. But I'd always wake up. And then I'd look in the mirror, disgusted, my eyes red. And I'd walk down the shop, the little Indian man. He'd go, hello, you okay today? And I really wanted to tell him the truth. But I just said, I'm all right, 2 cans of Special Brew, sit in the park, drink them. Felt better after that, felt a bit normal. Oh, not today. Anyway, I reckon I've gone on for long enough. Yeah, so that's it. See you in Hollywood.